As a bootstrapping entrepreneur, when should you level up and pay for your tools when creating automation for your business? The other day, I received a question from an engineering firm that is pretty new to the business space. They want to standardize the intake process to gather as much information as possible at the project start. The team wonders which tool they should use, like SurveyMonkey or Google Forms, for this process. If you're wondering the same thing, stick around because I'm going to answer that right now. Hi, I'm Lisa Stewart, founder of Build Your Own Small Business. I'm a brand strategist, maker, and small business coach. I help STEAM entrepreneurs like you build products that sell and change the world from their workbench. This engineering firm does many fixes and build for their companies in the area and is getting many more RFQs as a result. While they've responded to some solid proposals, they've noticed that there's an information gap. The info gap happens between what the client company gives them and what they find out along the project's course. This frequently causes rework to happen during project cases, so naturally, they want to eliminate this issue. They also want to standardize the intake process to gather as much info as possible at the project start. What's happening is that they're missing the needed information that wasn't included in the schematics within the bid. Their real challenge is their reluctance to hand out forms for clients to fill out, and they don't want to come off as less than capable when asking for tons of extra information. It's the lack of constructive and useful questions in the beginning which is causing the rework to happen. The second challenge is that they're getting project requests that they haven't done in the past. This leaves them with a lot of uncertainty because they're newer in the space. Have you ever been there? Now, they have two matters they want to address. They want to close this information gap as much as possible to bid with more efficiency and more certainty. So how do you do that? Before we get into which tool to use, let me address mindset. I get it. You don't want to burden your clients with questions. We feel like an imposition, don't we? But don't. That's your job. Have you ever visited the ER? God's forbid. Before the doctors can pull that nail out of your foot or reset your wrist, they want to know what your blood type is, your allergies, and other medical history. You have to fill out a few forms before you get seen. Your business is no different. Don't let the fear of time prevent you from getting the information you need to adequately quote the job. As I begin working with STEAM clients on their branding projects and websites, the initial intake includes a form that we complete together that usually takes about an hour. This is to help me understand their business needs. My clients appreciate my thoroughness because I'm also thinking long-term strategy for their site and services. Ultimately, you want repeat business with these clients, right? And when you explain why these questions are essential for short-term projects and future potential projects, they'll appreciate that you're thinking about them. Let's say you're a cement contractor and you're asked to lay a new driveway. You go out to review the landscape and you notice a bare backyard. You ask what future plans they have for it. Will they have kids or will they remain dinks? That will dictate whether they plan to have a fire pit or a sand pit added in a year or so. When you're the person to suggest this to them, you get them thinking about it, dreaming about it. And soon enough, they call you back to measure for their new fire pit. Now that's time well spent. Let me address responding to RFPs and uncertainty. As far as any gaps are concerned, consider gathering the projects that you've done, group like with like. Review the project materials, time, and labor. If you do foundation work, you'll know how much cement you need for a 100 square foot pad, right? Versus a retaining wall. With common projects like this, you'll know if their budget meets your price. If you're working on a new project, I'd consider overestimating and also check your competitor pricing because you won't know what snafus you'll run into during the course. And then refund the difference if you realize that margin was grossly overcalculated. Let them know they might have to be strict with their budget, as in no scope creep, and to consider having a little extra money set aside for unactualized costs. Customers may not be too happy about it, but it will set customer expectations. I've seen budgets explode because they didn't anticipate unhappy surprises. Regardless of the outcome, the more you can prepare the client, the happier they'll be. Once in a while, you might have to consider eating the costs or splitting the difference with them, but you'll have saved your partnership from the start. I've got 3 suggestions. Gather all the questions you need to quote the job, every little one. Put them in chronological order of need. Decide whether you can cut or divide the questions into phases. Will they provide you with enough information to include materials, labors, and equipment? If not, add a few more questions. Sit down and role play with your team members to determine how long the interview process will take. Will the interview be an online form, a phone call, or in person? How many of these questions can the customer complete before you meet? How long will it take them? Does the form take them 20 minutes? If so, can you break it up into 5-minute segments or high-level questions with a comprehensive follow-up? Think about the last time you visited a new doctor. How did you enjoy the onboarding process? Did one aspect take too long or was it too short? What part of the process felt sketchy? What left you feeling heard and hopeful? Let's talk onboarding. In this case, onboarding is essentially converting a lead into a client. Onboarding happens through a sequence of events through RFPs and RFQs, proposals, and intakes. What's the difference between an RFQ and an RFP? An RFP is a term for request for proposal. An RFQ is request for quote. If you want a website built, you'd ask me for a proposal, an RFP. You know you need one, but you're not sure how to design it, develop it, or what goes into it. If you're a cement contractor, potential customers, leads, ask how much paving their driveway might cost. Typically, they'll be asking you for a quote, an RFQ. Not just from you, but many vendors in your space. The key here is not to act like every vendor. The key is to elevate yourself from being a commodity to a sought-after brand. If you want more information on that, check out this video here. Both are examples of service-based businesses that do custom work. And these requests might come through your website or through a platform like Angie's List. Once you've received an RFP, the next step is to get the requisite information about that project. It might include sending a form to your lead or talking with them directly. This is where you want to be diligent about acquiring the absolute minimum information about cost, time, and labor a project requires to craft an informed and comprehensive proposal. Once you have that info, you'll send a proposal to the prospect. Depending on your market, your proposals will look different and they'll include terms and other assorted details on the project. Once your client agrees to the project scope and terms, you get the deposit and onboarding begins. I'm not going to get in too deep about onboarding, but wanted to quickly highlight it before we get into the actual project questionnaire. Onboarding processes don't have to be dull and dry. Onboarding includes the intake process that you create to build a remarkable experience for your customer. Think about the last time you purchased tickets to an event. Was the enrollment experience fun? See if you can incorporate any of these experiences in your onboarding process. This will give your customers something to talk about and more likely to refer you. Okay, tools. You're here because you want to understand the difference between a paid tool like SurveyMonkey or Typeform and free tools like Google Forms. The basic understanding is that Google Forms is free and SurveyMonkey and other paid tools have free versions until you require more complexity. I see this all the time. Makers go straight for the pretty tools because they're easier on the eyes than a spreadsheet, am I right? I get it. I want to go straight for that Model Y too. It's sexy. But here's the rub. Until you figure out your process, you won't know what tool you need to do the job. Why use a nail gun when a simple claw hammer will do? Because maybe in the end, a nail gun isn't what you needed in the first place. But you won't know that because you skipped over the basic exploration process. If you're benefiting from at least one of these tips I'm sharing today, please give me a thumbs up and watch through to the end. It helps to feed the YouTube algorithm gods and I would be utterly grateful. Okay, form types. So before you run out and buy a fancy tool, let's weigh the differences between a paid tool like SurveyMonkey and a free tool like Google Forms. They both come with ready-made templates with question sets. That's helpful. And the features. SurveyMonkey says that you can choose from 15 different question types whereas Google Forms allows you to choose 9 different question types. But let's face it, for our purposes, we maybe need 5 types tops. Getting responses. For both SurveyMonkey and Google Forms, you can send your survey in many different ways. You can get a link and paste that into your emails, and you can track who responds. SurveyMonkey might have more advanced features in their paid tool that allows you to white label your survey, host your survey on other aggregator platforms, and even find you an audience for your survey. But this isn't our focus. Our focus is collecting information from leads to prepare a quote, so we don't need the advanced paid features. Analysis and reporting. You can get responses for both SurveyMonkey and Google Forms in real time. You can also slice and dice your data to find the insights and share your results with your team members. While custom charts can be auto-generated from SurveyMonkey, Google Forms spreadsheets can also create charts and graphs. Again, that's a bit of an overkill while you're just closing the gap on obtaining required information for a project quote, right? Lastly, Google Forms is integrated with your Gmail account. You don't have to worry about remembering links or passwords. If you want to learn how to set that Google root directory up, you can find the link for that here. As I tell my STEAM entrepreneurs, you want to understand your process before you automate. This goes for anything in your business. In today's business ecosphere, you can pretty much try a free version of any tool. If there's a SaaS product that you might think might work, see if they have a freemium model. A freemium model might include a 14-day trial, one account for free with the SaaS product logo, or a limited number of questions that you can ask. It could be any number of things. Upgrading to a paid program usually removes the restrictions. Beyond that, you want to get efficient with your process so that you can create your own protocols and systems. As I mentioned to my clients, if ever they want to sell their business, buyers buy process. With that in mind, design your business to sell. Even if you don't want to sell, you'll be eager to put those systems into place that will make your staff more productive and efficient, clients happy, and turn a profit. Systems are sanity savers. I contend that you should consider the spreadsheet. Whether it's Excel, Numbers, or Google, it doesn't matter. I work with engineering and construction firms and recommend that they initially use forms for intake. Typically, it's a Google form that allows a few things. 1, it's a place for the client to take their time and outline the project scope, and they can always return and finish it later. You can auto-magically convert forms into a spreadsheet, and it's accessible to every team member at any time. Google Forms are safe and allow you to create checkboxes, short fields, long fields, and an option to upload photos. This is great if you're giving estimates from home. If you're starting a new business or you've been established for a while, grab your copy of the Small Business Brand Toolkit to get started. The free Small Business Brand Toolkit is a system that I start my clients out on that contains all the essentials for creating, launching, and growing a successful business. What made me happy about Google Forms is it also has conditional logic, if-then capabilities. Previously, conditional logic capabilities were only available through paid tools. I think it was maybe a year or more ago that Google included conditional logic as part of its query set. This is huge because you can also create dynamic quizzes with this feature, but I digress. If you want to experiment with the power of conditional logic, you can do this on your own time without the fear of having to pay before you've had a chance to figure it out. Believe me, I understand the constraints of exploring how a tool works and trying to get other tasks done in my business during the day. Nobody wants to waste time and realize they're running up against the paid tier clock, right? Again, this is why I implore you to use a spreadsheet or Google Forms to spreadsheet to start. Later, when you've massaged and improved your project intake forms, you can consider purchasing a fancy tool. Before you head off, I wanted to let you know that if you're just starting your business or you've been in it for a while but looking to ramp up your processes, check out this playlist to get started. Remember, great things take time. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Keep building.